Hola, and welcome to Spain Impossible. Everybody that I know in my life tells me that moving to Spain is impossible for me. And today I'm going to cover the debt side of what's been going on in our lives. And honestly, it's kind of the reason why this crazy idea has come into my head over the last year to move to the Costa del Sol in Spain, despite the fact that I've set quite the time limit for myself, moving in November of 2027. And given the year that my family has had over the last 12 months or so, I'm going to walk you through some of that. So, and also how deeply in debt I am. So, we'll talk about that in just a second. All right, so the last year has been pretty freaking bad. Let's just state that right now. Early part of last year, I was working in a job trying to course correct. I had taken a trainee position with a company, moved to a different company, hoping to get said training to start a new career at the ripe young age of 50. So some of you out there may have, woke up at 49 and gone, my life ain't working out. I want to try something different. That's what I did. And I ended up leaving that position in the middle of the year last year because I had gotten to like the last stage of the 12 stages of burnout. Like literally, I could not drag myself out of bed knowing that I had to go there. And the last couple of days, I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. It was that stressful and that much of a pull, which for me is very strange. I have raised 6 children and I have done anything and everything throughout the course of my life to make sure that my children didn't go without. So for me to run into a brick wall like this, where it was literally stressing me out to the point where my wife is telling me, hey, I think you're going to have a stroke, or I think you're going to have a heart attack. It's just not it was not a conducive job, no matter what the salary was. And the salary really wasn't all that great. I mean, it was decent money comparatively to what I'd earned, for myself and in some of the businesses and different jobs that I've had over the years. But basically, that's where our problem, we had almost paid off all of our debt. So we were pretty much down. My wife's car had, I think like 4 more payments on it. My car was getting down there. We had like a year and a half to go on that. But we had gotten most of the credit card debt gone. And with raising 6 children, making sure they had clothes and shoes. And we had a couple that were really heavy into sports. So we were spending a lot of money on, travel soccer and those types of things. So we had spent on our older children who are now grown and gone for the most part. We do still have one left that's in high school right now. Thankfully, he's not into a lot of things other than video games. So occasionally we buy him a video game or something like that. But there's not, new cleats every year and new shin guards every year and new uniforms every year and traveling this way and that way and everything else like we had to go through with a couple of our kids earlier in life. But so we had almost paid down all of the credit card debt. I want to say I got us to a point where we were about 6,000 to 7,000 in credit card debt. Which may sound high to some of you, but I mean, it took us years to build up the credit card debt that we had. And of course, it wasn't like we had some magical instrument to go bang, and I am old school. I don't believe in doing the credit card, where they tell you just stop making payments for 6 months, and before you go bankrupt, we'll talk to all your lenders and get all your stuff reduced. I bought these things. I believe that they need to be paid for. And so I did some side jobs and, did some other things, and had things pretty even keeled until February. We were still doing a little bit of stuff on the credit cards, a little grocery trip here, or maybe, we split our stuff between buying at the local grocery store and then things that we can buy in bulk we buy at Costco. So, maybe a couple times a month I'd be putting the groceries in the Costco on, but I was earning money. My wife was earning money. It wasn't like we were broke. Okay. But before that, the couple months before that, yeah, definitely we were throwing everything on credit cards. And then February 28th, the last day that we had any ice on the ground here in the Great White North, in the northern part of the U.S., I was on my way out to start the car for my wife, and one little patch of ice, I slipped and fell and wrecked my knee. After I had an MRI, it was shown that I had a non-displaced fracture in my femur, where the knee joint is, and also in the tibial plateau, which is the lower part. So basically my leg did this and this really hard. Luckily, none of the bone broke away, but I was under this auspice of maybe I was going to need surgery for about 8 weeks. And now, 10 weeks after that, I had to go and look for a regular job, which thankfully I found, and I have started. So I'm working 40 hours a week again at hopefully a much better position than what I was in before. But the moral of the story is we would have been out on the street if we had not had the credit cards and had not had, the range of balance available at the time that this whole last year has happened. So to be completely brutally honest with you, I was down to about 6,000 or 7,000 to pay off. We had been making, years of making payments and things to get them paid down. And as of May 1st, I went through all of my credit cards and I am $28,015 in credit card debt. Now I have a car note, but I'm not too worried about my car note as long as I keep paying it, because I'm selling the car when I move to Spain. So that will be gone either way. It'll be paid off, even if I have to throw a little cash on that at the end. So everything that I've gone through my whole life really has been these ups and downs of debt. And I am just going to attack it this time. Before I was like, I'll just work my 40-hour week job, and I'll throw $50 extra on this one and $40 extra on that one. And that's really how we paid it down over the course of, several years. We have 10 years between our youngest and our second youngest. So the ones that were out of high school and out of the house, we've had several years to pay that down. And now I'm going to actually be doing I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of, what can I do type of thing. And I'm going to be, in the mornings, when I take my son to school, I am going to be going to do a food delivery service for a couple of hours every morning, just for extra money. And I'm hoping to put about $600 to $700 a month. That's going to be strictly debt payment. And then my pay at my work, obviously my wife's pay will be doing all of the bills, all the groceries, all the Costco, all of those things out of, and anything left over out of that is also going to go onto the credit cards. So I'm hoping at this point in time, we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $1,200 at least to start with, that we can throw at credit cards and just start killing them off in the snowball way. Start with the smallest and pay it off, cut it up, close the account, be done with it, and then move on to the next one. So that's kind of how I'm going to go about it. That's kind of how I got into, back into a serious situation with debt over the last year. And like I said, thankfully, those cards were there, those balances were there that I had paid down, because at one point in time I had considered closing several of them just because I had them paid off. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't, but now it's time to dig out, and we're going to need a big shovel. And that's why I need you guys to subscribe and like and help push this out through the YouTube algorithm, because at some point in time, if I can get monetized on YouTube, maybe I can earn $100 or $200 extra dollars just from doing this, which I'm going to continue to do anyways because of the channel. And that can go on the debt as well. Or if we're already beyond the debt, then it'll go into savings for the trip to Spain. So thank you for letting me be a little vulnerable and letting me be, who I am. And I hope that you'll come along on this journey for me, because there's, two other parts to this journey, and that's the losing 100 pounds by next year. I've given myself a year to do it. And then also the actual moving to Spain, which will be a complete other aspect of this channel on its own. From visas and rentals and, everything that goes into moving from the US to Spain. So if that sounds like something you'd like to participate in, or you'd like to watch this old fart, stumble through, then come along for the journey. And I will be doing like month-end debt videos, kind of showing what I did, how I did it, how much I paid off that month, and how much is still remaining. And I will also be doing videos throughout the month about moving to Spain, about my weight loss journey. And hopefully you guys will come along and enjoy it, because I think I have something to share with at least some people out there. And that's why I'm doing this on YouTube. So thanks for coming along with me. And remember, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, drop a comment down below. If you want to see something specific about something specific, I'll put that in a video in the future. And I will see you guys on the next one.